Hi, welcome to another edition of Only in Illinois, your weekly video recap from Reboot, Illinois. I'm Matt Dietrich.
And I'm Madeline Dubeck.
And this week we have some new developments in what has become the biggest scandal of the entire summer. And even though it involves the suburban commuter railroad Metra, it's really become a statewide government scandal. Madeline, tell us what's going on with Metra, the latest.
The latest is actually that the Regional Transportation Authority, which is the oversight board over the three different Chicago area commuter agencies, PACE, Metra, and the CTA, did an audit of this whole Metra scandal that's been ongoing, that has caused 6 people to resign from the board now, some of them under duress, the chairman, Brad O'Halloran, and the vice chairman, Larry Huggins. The RTA issued an audit this week that said that this board could have and should have used an insurance policy that they have to cover the severance package for the ex-CEO Alex Clifford. Would have cost taxpayers only the deductible of $150,000 as opposed to what's now growing close to $1 million in severance costs and additional costs for lawyers and PR emergency management firms to kind of keep things on track, so to speak, but it's not working very well so far. So there's discussion now about whether they can still use that insurance. We don't know about that yet. Whether even Alex Clifford might be offered a job to come back and be the CEO again. That's another thought that's out there. His attorney, Michael Shackman, who is known for the Shackman Decree, which tried to do away with some patronage hiring in Illinois and set some rules regarding that, says that he would be willing to come back to work for Metra. And there are a couple of people who are still on the Metra board who say they are interested in pursuing that. So we don't know how that's all going to shake out yet. They're looking at the insurance policy to see if they still might be able to go back to that. They're considering rehiring Alex Clifford, and we'll continue to see what happens. But you made a good point, Matt. This has kind of become like to me, a real microcosm of the bigger issues around corruption in Illinois politics and government. And we all fund Metra in Illinois, even if you don't live in this region. You know, they get federal tax dollars and state money from everybody, and it's really something to behold. Mm-hmm. The other news this week was about Bruce Rauner starting a separate super PAC in an effort to promote term limits in Illinois. Mm-hmm. You want to tell us what's going on there and how that plays
Sure.
into his campaign for governor?
Well, Bruce Rauner is a very wealthy venture capitalist from Chicago, and he is a candidate unlike any we've seen in a gubernatorial race in Illinois. If he wants, he could self-fund his gubernatorial candidacy with millions and millions of dollars. But what he's and his candidacy is very, very much built on imposing term limits. So what he's done is he formed his own political action committee that is solely focused on promoting term limits and getting an amendment onto the ballot in 2014 that would amend the state constitution to impose term limits on General Assembly members and statewide constitutional officers. This could be a big thing for Bruce Rauner for his campaign, because there are no limits to what you can contribute to a political action committee like this one that is devoted to an issue. So he can put millions and millions of his own dollars into this, as will, and we've already seen a couple of $100,000 donations to this super PAC. And this issue could become attached to him if Rauner wins the primary and ends up on the November ballot, and he also gets this onto the November ballot. That could be a way of getting big voter turnout to come and vote for him and vote for the term limits.
It raises all kinds of interesting questions about what he can spend money on and what he can't, and since he's the chairman of this committee but he's also a candidate, where's the separation there? So it's going to be an interesting process to see how that all works out.
Right, and a Herculean process too, because to get a citizen initiative onto a ballot to change the Constitution, you need to get 8% of the voter turnout in the last gubernatorial election. That means he'll need minimum about 300,000 signatures. That's a daunting task, so we'll see where it goes.
Which we know from our efforts to try to get a redistricting question on the ballot and our work with Yes for Independent Maps.
Excellent, yes, good point.
So we'll keep an eye on all of those things and keep an eye on Only in Illinois. We'll see you again next week.